Thursday Maths homework, Term 1, Year 6, 2015. We're looking at estimating and reasonableness. So our goals are going to be that we want the students to practice their estimation skills. We also want students to be able to understand the reasonableness of an estimation. So this is how our homework looks for a Thursday, and students have two questions. Firstly, they must answer yes or no to the question, whether this answer is reasonable, and they must also show their working. Now let's talk about rounding. Similar to what we do when we all go and shop for goods, we round up or down to a nice even number in order to help us with the operation, just to make it a little bit simpler. So let me give you an example of that. The question is 2,000 a reasonable answer for what is 1/3 of 6,240? What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at 6,240, and it's close to 6,000, so I'm going to round that down. That's going to help me with the ease of my operation. Students could also round to 6,300 to be more accurate, but if they struggle with this, keep it simple. We want their confidence to build up until they get the fundamental understanding, and then perhaps they can round to 6,300 for a little bit more accuracy. What we want to do and be aware of is when we're rounding, we want to keep the rounding to within 10% of the original value. Let me give you an example of that. If I'm rounding to 83, I'm not going to round up to 100, or I'm not going to round down to 50. I'm going to round it to 80 or 85. That's just within that 10% of the original value. Some students will get in the habit of wanting to constantly round up to hundreds or down to 50s. We want them to be able to understand that it needs to be within 10% of that original value. Otherwise, it's going to move into the realm of unreasonableness. Similar with a smaller number, if I'm rounding 2.2, I'm not going to round it to 10, or I'm not going to round it to 0. Some students will make this error. I'm going to round it to 2 because it's within 10% of the original value. Let's have a look at calculating fractions, because this is what students are going to struggle with. They do find this difficult. What I want people to remember is how a fraction works. The bottom number tells you the size of the pieces, which is the denominator. The top number tells you how many pieces, so that's the numerator. This understanding really helps when it comes to calculating fractions. Let me give you an example of that. 1/3 of 6,000 is 1 out of 3 equal parts of 6,000. So if I break 6,000 into 3 equal parts, each part is going to be worth 2,000. And because I'm only dealing with one of those parts, it's just one lot of 2,000. If it was 2/3, I would deal with 2 lots of 2,000, so the answer would be 4,000. But in this case, it's just 2,000. So therefore, my answer is yes. 2,000 would be a reasonable answer for what is 1/3 of 6,240, because I round to 6,240 to 6,000, and 1/3 of 6,000 is 2,000. Let's have a quick look at an unreasonable example. The question is 3,000 a reasonable answer for what is 1/4 of 7,890? If I round 7,890 up to 8,000, I know that 1/4 of 8,000 is 2,000, because 8,000 divided into 4 equal pieces is 2,000, and I'm just dealing with one of those equal pieces at the moment. So it is 2,000. 2,000 is a large difference from 3,000. It's more than 10% away. So I would have to say that that one there is not a reasonable answer. Good luck with that.